Jeff here with SpinSight Consulting. We are going to look at some laundromat deals today. We're going to start, we'll start today with Dallas, Fort Worth. And while we get this going, this is my opinion. This is not investment advice. This is not something that you should take as gospel or as truth. These are my opinions, and please do not rely on them. Do your own due diligence. Look into these deals for yourself. Obviously, there's not going to be enough information on any of these deals to actually make an educated decision, sort of just today. But you can learn a lot, and you can get. Hopefully, I can give you some examples of deals that I would actually look at further, and some that I would say, yeah, probably not. All right. So first, we're gonna look. We're gonna ignore the first one. So 4.8 million, real estate included. Not that that's not a good deal, but that's a real estate and laundromat deal. There's going to be a lot more data behind that you're going to have to parse through and figure out, well, what is the real estate worth, and then separately value the laundromat. And that's way beyond the scope of what we could do today. Not to say it can't be a great investment, not to say it wouldn't be awesome. Maybe it's the needle in the diamond in the rough, but we're going to ignore it for today. Let's start here. Let's take a look and see what we got here. $1.5 million asking price. So $1.5 million asking price. We got 327,000 of cash flow, or what they call seller's discretionary earnings. I think it's a terrible term, but whatever. And you've got gross revenues of 786,000. That's a lot. That's a lot for a single location. This based on this picture, looks like we've got. Looks like Hipsch brand. Whether they're new or old remains to be seen. That chair, from what we can see, looks in decent shape. The floor does not look new. That's not a bad thing. A couple machines out of service. That's part of the industry. Just depends on how many machines they have and whether that's a meaningful number of machines. So we got a $1.5 million asking price, 327,000 of cash flow on $786,000 in revenue. All right, so established in 2002 by a previous owner. So this deal is now up for sale by presumably the second owner. And 3,000 square feet, freestanding building. Okay, heavy traffic. Everybody has heavy traffic. If you read their descriptions, don't take that for granted. Let's see. Then we've got. Oh, they've got pickup and delivery. Okay, that is where their revenue is coming from for sure. Many large corporate accounts. That's the money right there. That's why they're able to do $786,000 out of 3,000 square feet. Very efficient. Sounds great. And let's see. So it's a pickup and delivery business. So there's going to be assets. You're going to have. This is not a passive laundromat. This is an actively owned laundromat that you're going to be involved in. And that can be a great thing as long as you know what you're getting into. You can read all this if you want. Let's see. So inventory included 3,000 square feet, 670,000 of FF&E. That's about right. 13 employees. Okay. So you've got a lot. That's a lot, but they're doing a lot of business, so that would make sense. Yep. Okay. All right. So this business, this is sort of a unicorn. I don't want to say unicorn, but this is not your typical laundromat. This is a high grossing, pretty high profit margin laundromat with a lot of volume. You've got a good employee base. Or at least you have a good number of employees, and that's can be a good thing and a bad thing, but believe me, in this situation, it's probably a good thing. Now, whether it's worth $1.5 million, that depends. It doesn't say that real estate is included. I would imagine it's not, considering the cash flow of $320,000. But this one, if you were in the Denton area, I would take a look at this. If you're interested in laundromats, this one might have some legs. The big question is going to be equipment age. Is it 2002 equipment, or has it been redone since then? It changed ownership, so there's a good chance it got redone, but you never know. All right, let's take a look at something else. All right, so we just did that one. All right, high-end laundromat in emerging area, delivery growth, loyal customers. All right, let's see. Asking price of 1.3 million, and this is in Fort Worth. So if you're familiar with the area, Tarrant County, Fort Worth, Texas. And we've got a 1.35 million asking price, $455,000 of revenue. They do not disclose the cash flow or the EBITDA, which is a little bit strange. If you're asking $1.3 million, I feel like you should at least give us that. An investor is going to use that just to screen and figure out what is this something I should even look at. All right, 5,000 a month rent. That's competitive. Nothing really to go there. Established 2001. Looks great. All right, so from the pictures, oh, well, there it is. Amigo Wash and Dry. All right, so this looks beautiful. Looks great. Machines look new. Look like they're well taken care of. This is a nice place. It's kind of laundromat you would want to use, you would want to go to, and probably would want to own, depending on how much money it actually makes. Let's see what other pictures we got. Okay. Yeah, so decent design. Looks nothing alarming off the bat. Things look like they're well taken care of. Looks like they're clean. I would hope they did for pictures, but you never know. You've seen some crazy stuff on here. All right, let's scroll down. Let's see what we got. All right, we got four part-time employees. The owner works full-time. 118 machines. If I had to guess, the split's probably something like 50 washers and 58 dryers. Obviously, you'd find that out in due diligence, but I would guess that's about where there is. A lot of competition. Okay, so yeah, this is a story as old as time. We take care of our stuff. The other places don't. That's why we're better. And there's nothing wrong with that. Is that a durable competitive advantage? It's up to you. It's up to what you think. Okay, so I typically ignore the growth and expansion things here because if an owner was telling you what they would do, the question would be, why haven't they done it? And there's good answers to that. Sometimes it's that they spent their time building something else, or they spent their time getting it to this point, and this is they're just laying out the plan. But okay, well, if this is your plan, why haven't you done it? Now, if we look at just kind of like, would we go further with this? Okay, your equipment's new, you've got some staff, owner works full time, so keep that in mind. If whatever they tell you, whatever you find out the EBITDA is, that includes no management. That includes probably a lot of time work with the owner working. So if you're gonna hire management or you're gonna bring that on, that's a commitment, and that's gonna reduce EBITDA. But my guess is, even if best case this is owner operated, this is quite a bit overpriced if you ask me. I bet this thing, when and if it sells, I would imagine this store will sell for a decent amount under $1 million. So I would bet this price comes down by $400,000 to $500,000 by the time this sells. I just don't. I don't see a way on $455,000 in gross revenue that you're going to justify that price, and they're not even telling us. And maybe they're not because they know that it wouldn't justify it. But so that's that deal. Yeah, maybe worth a look. Depends on whether they're willing to be reasonable at their price. And a lot of times people are really proud of these laundromats. They think, oh, I put so much into it. I built this place. I did all this work to build it, and I should be paid for that. It's like, ultimately, in the end, it's a business. What does it make? What do I got to spend? How much do I have to put in? So on and so forth. All right. Okay. Let's see. Upscale, high efficiency laundromat for sale. Okay. That pretty much, I don't know whether that's a real picture, an AI generated picture. Okay. So you're not giving me revenue. You're not giving me cash flow. You're telling me you've got fairly cheap rent. Let's see. $850. Okay. My guess is this is like a brand new redo. Probably don't have even a full year of financials. You're really just buying the build out. That's what you want. Go for it. If you're an investor, probably, depends on if you really want to like get elbows deep or whether you're looking to, buy multiple. There's work on this one. Nope, no thank you. All right, long, well-established coin laundry. Let's take a look at this one. Okay, here we get a little more information. This is nice. All right, asking price $550, gross revenue $330, cash flow $140. Oh, well, I thought they gave us more information. Turns out not really. So $1,200. Okay, $1,200 of inventory. You're not including it in the price. That's concerning. If you're asking me, if you haven't even had a conversation with me and you're not including the inventory, I'm gonna have to pay you for the inventory. I mean, I guess fine, but it seems kind of like we're nickel and diming and we haven't even started talking. No financing, 2 weeks training. Yeah, that's fine. Fair. All right. From a numbers perspective, seems like the cash flow is a little bit high. If the cash flow is right, the asking price isn't out of the realm of possibility. Established in 2008. So your question here is going to be, what is the age of the equipment? Is this stuff old? Is it new? Has it been re-equipped? What's the condition? If this has been an absentee owner that hasn't really taken very good care of it, then that number's going to go down the first year you own it because you're going to have to fix everything. And is that what you want? If you're going to be an owner operator, something like this could make a lot of sense because you could, they don't even tell us how many employees. So I'm imagining with that kind of cash flow on that kind of revenue, probably not a lot, but you never know. But if you're going to be an owner operator, maybe this is something you want to look into. If you're trying to, run a store with management, I would think twice. So here we go. I love these titles. Thriving Turnkey Laundromat. Then why are you selling is the question that everyone always asks. All right, asking price $690, EBITDA $170, gross revenue not disclosed. Again, if you're going to give me your EBITDA, why won't you give me your revenue? I don't understand. Okay, let's just skim that. Let's go down here. 4,500 square feet. That's good. 1 full-time employee. Okay, that means the owner's working. Whoever owns this is working in the business, or they have some other way of running the store. Don't ask me. Apartment complex is great. Multifamily, single family, great. Okay. I sort of just tend to ignore this. Obviously, like we don't want to be trying to sell newspaper ads, today, but I'm not really sure that the industry statistics overall are going to be a big driver of an investment decision on a specific location. Sure, it's useful picking an industry, but once you've kind of looked at an industry, this is just fluff. 50 washers and 50 plus dryers sounds about right. Yep, primed for an owner operator. So that's who they're targeting. And that would make sense because they're currently owner operating, which means that number, that $170,000 of EBITDA would definitely come down if you tried to, not run it yourself. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it is something to keep in mind when you look at the deal. All right, let's see if we can get something that's a little different. Okay, here we go. Laundromat business for sale in Fort Worth, Tarrant County. All right, so $400,000 asking price, $46,000 of cash flow. All right, gross revenue of 168. So that off on the surface, this seems like a big ask. All right, 2,400 square feet, so it is small. Do they give us how many employees they have? Okay. Okay, so on the surface, without really looking at it, unless you're going to be driving this and really in this business every day, my advice would be stay away. They don't tell you how many employees they have. This probably is about right for profitability. So maybe they have employees, maybe they don't, not sure. But if you're going to grow this, it's a small location. So kind of like the location we looked at earlier, you're going to have to go outside of your physical location because you're limited. You only have 2,400 square feet. You only have so many washers, and these are top loaders. They don't take a lot of laundry. I would think really hard if this is something you're looking at. Established 1982, but it does say it was redone. But this one would not be something I would spend my time looking at. Coin laundry for sale with low rent. Low rent is good. It is far from everything. Okay. Asking price of $550. Gross revenue of $191. So $200,000 of gross revenue, $87,000 of cash flow. All right, let's take a look at this picture, see what we can see. All right. I mean, things look in decent shape. It has not been seen by an interior decorator. That is for sure. So, this probably falls more in the line of like, these are your standard, run of the mill. We put machines in a facility. We let people use them. And now let's read. Okay. 2,000 square feet, small. Okay. Not, you kind of can imagine what the restrictions are going to be there. Let's see. What do they say? One employee. So whatever this number is, unless you're going to be the person in there all the time, that number is going to go down. So stands out with its well-established location and dependable service. That's all great. But I don't think, if it were me, this 87,000 number, if that's real, it's because the owner's in the business. So if that's what you want to do, go for it. It also, if that cash flow number of 87,000 is true, I would say this asking price is high. It doesn't say when the equipment was put in, but if it was 2006, this equipment is getting a little long in the tooth, which means that whatever the repair bills were last year, they will be more. I can assure you that. And let's go back one more. Okay, again, this one right here, this is going to have real estate involved, so we're not going to look at that. Updated equipment, remodeled laundromat. Let's look at one more. All right, here we go. So asking price is $650. Asking price of $650 on gross revenue of $180,000 with $8,200 a month in rent. Okay. I think as the young kids would say, I don't know if your math is mathing in this one. Just because you updated it does not mean you get more for it. Yep, recently remodeled, computerized wash and fold and soap sales. Okay, cool. Right. 3,800 square feet. So you got a decent sized store, so there's nothing wrong with that. Does not tell us how many employees we have. It does not tell us whether we currently offer wash and fold. Oh, wait, I guess it does. So it does. I also added a pickup and delivery service and dry cleaning service. Okay, well, if you're doing all of that and you're only making $180,000, you may be doing it, but I'm not sure you're doing it well. Let's see. Anything else worth note? Yeah, this one, I don't see any way. I don't see any way they get the $650. And this is probably another one where they remodeled, they put new equipment. That equipment cost them, I don't know, 600,000 or whatever, and they're trying to turn a little bit of a profit and sell it. But if you pay the 650, if I were to rub my magic 8 ball and see what might happen in the future, I would bet that in 5 years, even after all the work that someone would do to make this better, there's a good chance you sell it for 650, and that's not what you want. All right. Well, if you have any questions, let me know. Look forward to seeing what everybody thinks in the comments, and we'll be back in a few days with a different city. Anyway, have a great day. Thanks, guys. Going through deals like this is just scratching the surface. If you've got deals you're looking at or you're looking to buy and get into the business, click the link below. Let me know. Let's get together. Let's see if we can figure out what deal you should do, what deal you shouldn't do. If you need help, you have questions, click the link below. Look forward to talking to y'all soon.